Hi, and thank you for having me. My name's Julie Poole. I'm a spiritual empowerment coach. I'm a tarot reader and YouTuber. I had a reasonably normal childhood till the age of about 5 or 6 years old. But I was, as all children are, highly intuitive. We are born psychic. We're very aware. Children will have imaginary friends and see things and be aware of things, and they're very intuitive to energy, as I was. But things really took a big turn when I was around about 8 years old. I'm not sure if I was seven, eight, or nine, but it was around that time. My parents had split up. My father had left, and my mother had not coped at all. She had fallen apart on every level. And so she was pretty absent within her grief and depression and, the things that she was dealing with. So I lost my mum as well as my dad, if you like. My dad would still visit, but not very often. But what happened was I was then a extremely lonely child, neglected child, frightened child. And I was befriended by a very unwell, sick man who completely took advantage of my innocence and my youth. Basically, this man was a, and he groomed me for nearly a year, and I for that time. It culminated in a very unpleasant and traumatic incident, as it would be for a child. And during that incident, which I'm sure you can put two and two together without me going into too much detail, but during that incident, I lost consciousness. The weight of him on my little body, I just couldn't breathe. I lost consciousness. I was being hugely traumatized and abused, and I left my body. So one minute I was in there feeling I can't breathe and absolute terror. And the next thing I had just lifted up out of my body. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting high up in a tree on a branch, really high up in the sky. This incident was happening in a woodland, and it was under a tree. And I was just up and I was sitting on this branch, and I felt complete peace and complete calm, and there was no pain. There was no sense of panic. All of those feelings that I had been feeling were completely gone. And there was a man sat next to me on the tree, and he was so kind and gentle, and I completely trusted him. He was very white and shimmery, but I could see him clearly. I didn't know who he was, but he was saying to me, "Look at me. Don't worry about what's going on down there. You just look at me." And he was talking to me. And he was showing me the birds, and he was showing me, "Look at that lovely bird up there. Let's look at that." He completely distracted all of my attention, and I was totally in the energy with him. The kindness, the love, the gentleness, everything just felt so absolutely beautiful. I don't know how long I was there, but I didn't, it was magical. I didn't want to go. It was just lovely. And then after a little while, he said, "It'll be time to go back down now. And when you do, it won't feel very nice, but you're going to be okay. And I want you to know that I am your friend and I am here for you. And you can speak to me and reach out to me anytime you want to." And I said to him, "Thank you very much. And what's your name?" And he said, "My name is Jesus, and I am always there." He said, "My real name is Yeshua, but you can call me Jesus, and I will always be there for you." And then the next thing I knew, I was in my body, and it wasn't nice. But I went home from that experience. I never saw that man again, and I was done with that. And from that point forward, I started spending a lot of time going to my local church where I could find my friend Jesus and have a chat with him. And after a little while, he started appearing on the bottom of my bed, and we would talk at night. And he talked to me about angels and lights and energy and God. And we continued that relationship for the next 10 years. And I still have a strong relationship with him now. But over the next 10 years, through my teens, there were other incidents because this is part of what happens with abused children. You go into more abuse. It's just part of the law of attraction until you heal it. So there were other incidences, and then a very difficult and abusive relationship, my first relationship when I was 17 until I was 21. And during that time, I reached out to Spirit, to the angels, many times, help me, get me through. And I was aware of so much stuff. During some of that time, for example, I was tapped into my own healing ability. Jesus showed me how. I must have been about 13, and I was having my monthly cycle, and I was in pain in my stomach, and it hurt. And Jesus was sat on the bottom of my bed and said, "Put your hands on your stomach and just activate your own healing energy, your own God force." And I did, and my pain went away. And it was like a magic switch. It was just wonderful. And so I was helping others from the time I was about 13. My friends at school who were girls who would have period pains, they'd see me putting my hands on my stomach and they'd say, "What you doing?" I say, "I'm just taking away my pain." And they said, "Do me, do me." And so I would put my hands on my friend's stomach and their period pains would go away. If they had a headache or a migraine, they were like, "I've got a headache." I became a little bit of the party piece for my friends to heal them. And they were like, "How can you do this?" I said, "I don't know. I just can." And I understood as I got older that it was because I had broken free from my body in terms of my spirit rising, my soul rising up out of my body, having an out of body experience, that's opened me up through the veil to be able to access the spiritual realms. And having studied a lot about and other traumas, it seems to be quite a theme that when there is severe trauma of any kind, that people can and do leave their body. Psychologists and psychiatrists will call it disassociation. You just remove yourself from the trauma of what's happening. It's a defense mechanism. But from a spiritual perspective, yes, the soul is saying, "This is too much for me. I'm just going to step away from the body for a minute and then I'll come back when I'm ready." So that kind of continued through my teens, in terms of me being able to be aware of energy and healing. And I went to lots and lots of different churches, trying to find my answers, all the while searching for what I had felt and experienced in that time that I was out of the body. But I had absolutely no fear of death. And in a way, in that time, in that trauma that I was holding, I welcomed it. I knew what was on the other side, that it was this peace and this beauty, and there was all of these magnificent beings and absolute pure love, a love that I had never known on the earth. And I had no fear of death. I didn't like life, it was very hard. And I continued to build my spiritual muscle, if you like. When I was 17 and I had suffered another trauma, I reached out to Spirit and said, I can't cope. Help me, help me. And I immediately saw in front of me really clearly, and I was in my body this time. This was the first time I saw Spirit clearly in my body. A beautiful indigenous man, well, at the time, because this would have been around about 1980, at the time we would have called a Native American Indian. Now it's indigenous First Nation people. And this man stood there and connected with me and told me his name was Running River and he was my guide and he was going to help me. And he started talking to me about shamanism and the grounding and the earth and Mother Earth and how I could connect with the earth and heal my traumas and to find my peace. And he helped me. He was there for me all of the time over the next 20 odd years. But anyway, the near-death experience happened again when I was 21. I had left that abusive relationship and I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, all right, PTSD, after something like 15 years of abuse, physically, mentally, sexually, emotionally. I was absolutely a wreck. And the only part of my life that made sense was my spiritual connections. It's the only time I felt safe. And I knew I was safe with spirit. I knew life was pretty hard, and I wasn't coping at all. The depression, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the low self-worth, the self-disgust, all of those feelings just became completely overwhelming to the point where I just made the decision, I can't do this. This is too hard. I can't live like this. I can't live with this trauma that I wake up with every day, the constant fear, the flashbacks. I can't do it. So I made the decision, I'm going home. I know where home is and I know it's love and I don't want to be here anymore. So I took a massive overdose of the various pills that I had been given, and they were a combination of a load of paracetamol, a load of Valium, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills. I took everything I had in the house that I had been given, and I was ready. I made my peace with life and said, thanks for having me. I don't want to stay. I'm going home. Bye bye. I took the whole lot and I went to bed, perfectly expecting to, that was it, done, dusted, off we go. This wasn't a cry for help. This was an absolute determination that I am done with this life. Now, I remember just falling asleep in absolute happiness that I wouldn't have to wake up ever again and, face that same pain. What they did was I suddenly saw my guides and my angels around me, and then they lifted me up and took me up to the higher realms. And I just remember saying, I'm going home. And they said, no, you're not. It's not your time. And so I remember it was pretty vague, but I remember being in a place which I now know to be the angelic realms, and there was a huge amount of spiritual energy, people, beings, angels around me, healing me. They were determined that I was not going to die and they were going to heal me. I don't know how long I was there, but I do remember arguing with them and saying, no, I don't want to heal. I don't want to go back. I'm not going back there. And they said, yes, you are. You've got a lot of work to be done. You agreed to this. You planned this. We did tell you at the time that it would be a very hard beginning in your life. And I was saying to them, I don't understand. What do you mean? And they said, your soul chose this, including all of the abuse and all of the nastiness. And we did say to you that what you wanted to accomplish in this lifetime would normally take 3 lifetimes. However, you, being the determined and very stubborn soul that you are, decided you wanted to do it in one. And we did warn you it would be too hard and too overwhelming. So here you are at 21 trying to check out. It's not your time. So we have to heal you enough to go back. But we can tell you that you will, in the second half of your life, find enormous peace and be able to help enormous amounts of people. This pain will not go on forever. Please let us help you and um, work with us. So I agreed. They did tell me that my time, and I was 21 at the time, they said, it's not your time to go. You'll be going when you're 67. And when you're 21, 67 feels very, very old and a long, long way away. So I made the deal with them. All right, I'll go back till I'm 67. So there was just then a lot of white light, a lot of peace, a lot of acceptance, no more resistance. And the next thing I know, I woke up in my body. And it was 3 days later. I had just slept for the 3 days, and then I woke up, and a friend of mine came round, and I was very sort of stoned, still out of it. So, in terms of the future, what is this all about? Why have we all just started awakening in the last 20 odd years? This has been forecast for a long time. And what the forecasters have said is that from 2012 to 2032, that 20-year period is called the breaking open of the golden age, which is coming in after 2032. And the golden age, the dawn of the golden age, is about that living from a place of love, insightfulness, self-awareness, compassion, kindness. We're moving into more of a truth and openness. Now, it takes time to get there. When you look at where we were just 50 years ago and where we're going to be and where we want to be, will the world be utopia in 2032? No, but it will be the beginnings of this opening of the golden age. So, what we mean by the golden age is that for millennia now, there has been several thousand years where there has been an enormous amount of power, abuse, and control, and repression, and suppression, and corruption, and greed, and all of that has been held by the few and has controlled the masses. This golden age is bringing an equality across the board. So that which is false and fake and untrue and corrupt will fall away. And for it to fall away, the light needs to be shone on it. So people will say the world's getting worse. It is not. It is that it was far, far worse, but it was hidden. So we didn't know about it. What's happened with the last 50 years is that we have started to step as a people of all nations into our power to say, we do not find this acceptable. This bigotry, this racism, this homophobia, this, all of this behavior, we do not find it acceptable. And we are standing up and saying no. And with the event of the internet in the late 90s, then the information starts becoming wider and becoming shared. And we start to become aware of things that we had no idea about. And so what's happening is that, you see, love, the underlying energy in love is truth and light. So when we shine the light and the truth into things, we start to see and then we can deal with it. Whereas when it's hidden and unknown, we can't. So what's happening and has been happening for a long time now, it's been building up for the last 100 years, is the day of reckoning. It's coming up, it's coming up. Not so that we can have some Armageddon, but the people in power that are corrupt, that's coming out. They're getting found out. They're getting caught. They're getting kicked out. And people that have a pure heart, pure intentions are coming in instead. There's a lot of people my age and above who are extremely corrupt and hard and cruel, and younger people coming in who are loving and open and truthful and honest. They're going to come in and replace them. So everything is being shifted up. This is what we call raising the vibration. So the higher vibration is truth, light, and love. The lower vibration is corruption and greed and hidden, right? So what we're having now as we move forward, 2024 and 2025 is like the tipping point where we've gone past the halfway point. So there's now more people awakened and in love and light than there is those who are dark and closed. We're past this tipping point. So 24, 25 is being and is continuing to be this opening up. So we're going to hear of so and so politician being kicked out, sent to jail, this leader out, that situation, corruption, we're going to blast it open. All of this is happening. We're also having the same sort of thing going on with Gaia, with Mother Earth, in terms of we're very aware of climate change and what's being done and what's not being done. That's going to start to raise itself more and more and more. So basically, we're all coming up into the light to we need to look after each other, we need to look after the planet, and we need to take accountability and responsibility. And when you're living from a place of truth and authenticity and love, then it's fine to take accountability, isn't it? Because I'm a good person and I'm doing good things. But if you're corrupt and doing bad things, it's time for accountability. So things are shifting, and we're going to see more of that in 24 and 25, and it'll continue and it'll feel a little bit chaotic, but please trust that it's to blast open that which needs to be seen so that it can be released and healed. And by the time we get through to 2030, 31, 32, we'll find everything settling down into a newer way. So, for example, let me give you a very 3D example. In 2007 8, we had a global financial crisis, and a lot of people suffered. And the reason for that global crisis was that for 10 or 20 years, the lenders, the mortgages, the loaners had allowed themselves to have no regulation, no rules, be able to do whatever they wanted to do. And it completely blew up and hurt a lot of people, right? But out of that, the outcome was new regulations in place, new rules in place. Don't lend to money people who can't afford it. Don't overlend more than they can afford. Rules and restrictions so that now, although we've been globally in another bit of a financial crisis, we haven't had anywhere near the suffering that we had in 2008-9 with people losing their homes and going bankrupt and everything. So that difficult period brought to a head the corruption within the financial system and rules going in place. And so that sort of thing is continuing. So when we see things opening, it might look like it's a disaster, but out of that, new rules come in place to make it better, to make it fairer, more transparent, better, more truthful, more right. So this is what's happening. And so in addition to that, we have AI coming up, which is to open us up to even more, to help us even more. And my team tell me that, which I know anyway, there has been a lot of activity from what we would call ETs, aliens, right? These are beings of light who are more advanced than us technologically and in every other way. They have been visiting us for many, many, many years, and they've been helping us for many, many years. And they do visit, and they have visited, and they have been seen. But the powers that be have managed to cloak it, have managed to hide it. We will see over the next 6, 8 years more and more sightings. And because of the internet and mobile phones and iPhones being able to take photos, it will become harder and harder for the powers that control to be able to pretend that it wasn't that. So basically, yes, we do have visitations. Please don't fear them. These beings that can come from far galaxies with incredible technology are not here to hurt us. They are here to help us. They are also here to protect us. If they feel that we are, for example, getting out of control with being trigger happy with nuclear stuff, they will come in and they will stop it. They will not let us blow ourselves up. They will not let us destroy this planet. They will step in. So over the next 5 or 6 years, we will see. And I think particularly there's going to be some sightings early in 2025, and then there's going to be a lot happening around 28, 29, where there will be more and more sightings. And we're talking landings, and them not being able to deny it anymore. Um, and we will start to embrace the technology that is available in other dimensions and galaxies and universes. And just trust that it's just getting better. It won't be, I was just going to say, well, it won't be much to see in the rest of my lifetime because I've only got about another 20, 25 years left. But for those of you who are younger, I promise you, by the time you get to 2040, 2050, This is going to be such a better world. So when we're going through these changes, you can either see it as something to be feared, or you can see it as the dawn of the golden age. And we are all, each of us, doing our part. So stay in the love, stay in the truth, and stay in the hope. All right. So I'm talking about my spiritual team, who I call Eli. But I want you to know that each of you has your own spiritual team. None of us are born into this world, our soul inhabiting this human form without a backup plan. And the backup plan is your spiritual team. Each of you have your own spiritual team. And your spiritual team is made up of a guardian angel. Each of you have got a guardian angel. And usually your guardian angel has a couple of helper angels to help him or her in their task. And the job of your guardian angel is to help you at any opportunity they can without judgment. Okay, so your angel is there to hold your hand, to give you a hug, to tell you it'll be all right. And there is absolutely no judgment. Now, there's one rule, and it's actually more than a rule, it's a law. And the law of free will is absolute. So your angel's job is to help you, but only if you allow it, only if you want it. If you don't want it and don't allow it, they are not allowed to help you because it would go against your free will. So that's the first thing I want you all to know. This isn't something from a fairy book or a fairy tale. You have a guardian angel. And for that guardian angel to help you, you have to ask for help. Thank you for helping me. Will you help me with this? And they will help you. And they love it. It's their job. So you can imagine if you're not asking them, they're bored. They've got nothing to do. There's nothing they can do at all. They can't help you in any way. They're sitting back with frustration, watching you go the wrong way and struggling and thinking, we want to help, but we're not allowed to because they haven't asked, you know? So that's the first thing. And then, apart from your angel, you will also have at least one guide. And the guide is literally like a teacher to guide you. Now, your guide's job is a little bit different from your angel's job. All right, your guide's job is to get you on the right path, to push you and nudge you if you're going the wrong way, to give you signs. All right, whereas your angel will love you even if you've gone completely the wrong way. Your guide will say, like, you're pulling my hair out now, you're doing my head in, you're completely going the wrong way. Will you pay attention and listen to me? So they're much more like a teacher that will tell you off when you're going wrong, but it's their job. So kind of let's go back three spaces and explain how does this all happen. So let's go back to when we're still upstairs, in the space between space where the soul agrees this is what I want to achieve next time. The soul will have a life review at the end of each life. This is what went well. This is what went badly. This is what I did brilliantly. This really hurt and harmed a lot of people. I wanted to grow in this area and I messed that up. And they have a bit of a review and then they make a plan, a contract. Right, we're going to choose a new life now. Same soul, different body. Going to choose a new life and we're going to come into this new body, right? So what is it that I want to achieve? What's my plan, right? So my plan for my life was to clear karma for myself and from my ancestors, to balance up any harm I've done in previous lives by experiencing it in this one, and to be able to then overcome, to forgive. My main lesson, forgiveness. It's easy to forgive a slight small problem, much harder to forgive something like I experienced. I have forgiven, so I passed that test. If that was a test, it was what the soul wanted to do, because forgiveness is one of the highest vibrational forms of love. And your soul always wants to grow in love, always, but it finds different ways to try to do that. So we will make our plan. And then, in order to make that plan work, we will choose the appropriate parents that we're going to be born to, the appropriate circumstances, and the guide will be working with you. Your main guide will be saying, right, well, what about if in 20 years we bring in this person, and then what about we bring in that person? And everything is kind of, not everything, the key points are planned before you come down. So it was planned that I would be born to parents who would split up and neglect me so that the abuse could take part. It was planned that those parents would not support me and be there for me, because one of my aims and goals on a soul level was to grow in independence. It's one of the questions I asked them when I was in my 40s, why my parents love me, but they are absolutely useless at support. I've had everything I've had to do on my own, zero support. And there have been times where I felt a little bit sorry for myself of why it's not fair. I've had no family supporting me. It's always been just me. And they said to me, your soul wanted it that way. You've had multiple lifetimes with fantastic families that have supported you all the way. You've done that one. What's the point in redoing the same lesson? It's like, can you find the love and the heart and the success without the support? It's easier to do it with support. You've done that, tick, tick. Now let's do it without the support. And can you do it and not resent the parents and feel angry with them? Because all of that is part of your growth and your learning. I'm okay with that. I'm completely all right with it. But that's what we do. So your guides is part of that plan, right? And their job then is to keep you on plan, keep you on track, okay? But within that, you have free will. So you can say, like I did at 21, I've changed my mind, I'm coming home. And my guide was like, no, because then you've messed it up for me, you've messed it up for you, you've messed it up for the hundreds of thousands of people you were going to help. Pull yourself together and get back down there. That's your guide's job.